America has the oldest democracy in the world. India has the largest. And despite some challenges, like some poor infrastructure and many remote villages, they had a 20% higher voter turnout than the USA in recent elections, despite having 1.5 times the population. Now, with some elections coming up, and it's Democracy Day soon, I started looking at India's democracy, and I'm seeing some things that America can learn to improve ours. Let's take a look. Hey everybody, I'm Ben Jenks. I'm here in beautiful India, and today let's talk politics. Now I know there are some topics you don't want to bring up with people. You don't want to bring these up on a date, like politics, ex-relationships, religion can be tough. People have strong feelings about these topics, but we're gonna dive into politics because as I was doing research about the Indian democracy, I'm seeing some very inspirational aspects that other countries, even America, could take from what they're doing over here in India. So let's first start about just saying that India is a place that is really actually very unlikely to be a country and especially a democracy. There are 17 different scripts in the rupee note alone. There are over 20 languages spoken here. Many of the people never really thought of themselves as a unified nation for centuries and centuries. So the fact that they've held together this beautiful country and made it the largest democracy in the world. 1.3 billion people are voting here in India.
Oops.
And a super cool stat is actually 67% of them vote in each of the elections. Now, America's voter turnout is 47% at a recent election, and that was the highest in 50 years. So India is doing something right in their democracy. Both have a constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. Both have a president that is elected by an electoral college and is the supreme commander of the military. Both have 2 legislative houses. The parliament in India has the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. In the US, we have the Senate and the House of Representatives. Also, just how awesome was India's nonviolent revolution? There was a group of founding fathers and freedom fighters who made that happen. Mahatma Gandhi is known around the world for his inspiration in a nonviolent revolution. And that in itself is very moving. America, too, had an inspirational group of founding fathers who wanted to create a government that was for the people and by the people. They set the stage for democracies to come, and I'm proud of that aspect of the country that I'm from. Now, what about differences? There's actually a lot of differences between India and America's democracy.
We're only going to cover the interesting ones.
That mostly stem from one major point, that one's a presidential system and one's a parliamentary system. For instance, the Prime Minister is the head of government in India, and in America, the President is the head of government. Now, India also has a president who is not as powerful. He reigns, but he does not rule. He's sort of a ceremonial leader. In India, a government and a prime minister can lose power very quickly. This happened to the BJP party somewhat recently in that they lost power within 13 days after being elected. It's much easier for the people or the parliament to remove a prime minister in India. They just need a simple majority vote of non-confidence, which removes the prime minister, and then midterm elections are held again. In the US, it's very difficult to remove a president. In fact, no president has ever been removed from office. This could lead to other effects, like we could say America has a more stable form of government, and we could say that India has more accountability of their politicians. Both can be strengths. The way the Electoral College works is a bit different too. So India is broken up into 543 constituencies, and each of these constituencies have a say in the Electoral College, whereas the USA is broken up by state. So there's 50 states, and each of these states have a say in the Electoral College. Now, what this means in practice is, in India, a politician will go to many places in many states to try to win those areas and get those votes. Whereas in the USA, a president is only going to go to a few different states. We call them the swing states, because most of the states are either always going to go Democratic or always going to go Republican. And no matter how much campaigning you do, it's not going to change the state. The way votes are counted is different. In India, there are 7 stages of voting that can take 37 days. Then they all meet up and quickly count all the votes. In the US, it's all done on one day, and within 12 hours, there's usually a result shown. In India, the Electoral Commission runs the elections, and this is a strong or powerful independent body that is autonomous. In the US, the ruling government runs the elections. So that could have some negatives. In America, you can write in any candidate in many states. Like, for instance, if I'm voting for president soon, I could be like, yeah, I think that Ben Jenks really has it. He's my guy. He's the one that we want, even though I'm obviously not on the ballot. In India, you can't write in anyone. In fact, that's a weird thing about America's democracy. However, in India, you can vote for none of the above. India has the longest constitution in the world. It has 145,000 words. America has the shortest constitution in the world, 4,400 words. India has thousands of political parties, and many of them win elections every election period. America has 2 major political parties, and it's very rare for another political party to win an election. The biggest thing, and I think this is why India has such a high voter turnout, there is a strong electoral commission that is independent of the political party. I try to imagine what it must have been like in 1947 when the founding fathers were thinking, okay, we're going to make this a democracy, but there's a significant portion of the population that live in remote villages that don't have electricity, that may not be able to read. How do we get everyone to vote so they know what's happening? So they created this strong electoral commission that safeguarded the vote. And today, the stories you hear about what they do to help make sure everyone votes is very impressive. I've read that they will commit to putting a voting booth within 2 kilometers of every citizen. In the last election, they had 2.3 million electronic voting machines. There were 1 million polling stations, and there were 11 million election officials. Some election officials had to take a 24-hour journey by boat, then get on a smaller boat, then get on a smaller canoe to go to some remote places of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands so they could set up this polling station. They also set up a polling station for one person, this priest who lived in the Gur National Forest, because he lived there with the lions. 32 election officials needed to be airlifted in and out of remote valleys so they could set up these polling stations. India also holds many elections on a Sunday, so the people are off from work. Anyone can go. In America, it's held on a Tuesday, and this prevents many working people from being able to vote unless they take some time off. So you're choosing lose money or vote for the president. The Independent Election Commission also went door to door and still goes house to house to make sure that the voters are registered, to make sure that no one was inadvertently stricken from the polls and they don't realize it. So that is way above what America does, which we are forced to register on our own. In America, there's also common criticism that one party or the other is trying to prevent certain people from voting through devious, subtle means of disenfranchising them. For instance, it was said in Georgia recently that a new regulation about voting was put in place where someone's ID card and their voter registration must have the exact name. So if my name's Ben on my ID card and it says Benjamin here, I can't vote. Certain criticism has been said of Indian elections too. They haven't been 100% perfect, but I think the voter turnout shows India is doing something really right there. Electronic polls. India's electricity goes out quite often here, yet they have 2.3 million electronic voting booths. In America, there's still a lot of paper voting done in many of the states. So I'm just thinking, how come we can't all have the same voting system? And then finally, India doesn't have gerrymandering, but there's an independent commission that sets the constituencies. In America, the ruling party gets to set the districts, which means they're obviously going to set them for their political advantage. Again, I'm very impressed with India's democracy, and with these 6 things, I think America should be learning and adapting our democracy to take what India is doing really, really well with and apply it to our elections. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you know someone who might be interested in this topic, please share it with them. I've been in India since 2018, and every week I make videos showing beautiful India and informing people about this wonderful country. If that's something you're interested in, please subscribe, click the bell for notifications, then the videos will start popping up in your YouTube. Thank you very much.